She introduced me as her driver. At a party I'd helped pay for, no less. Said it loud enough for half the room to hear as I pulled her aside. After that, she just rolled her eyes and tossed out, "You should be grateful I even let you in." I didn't yell, didn't argue. I just grabbed my jacket and walked out the door. 2 weeks later, her parents showed up on my doorstep. It's strange, really, how you can spend years with someone and still feel like you never truly knew them. Or maybe the red flags were there the whole time, and I just chose to look the other way. Either way, whatever happened last month flipped my whole perspective upside down. Here's how it all went down. I'm 30, and I'd been dating Rachel, she's 29, for about 2 years. We met through some mutual friends at one of those trivia nights at a bar. She had this magnetic presence, gorgeous, full of confidence, and she had this way of drawing people in like gravity. I fell for her hard. Rachel works in IT over at some tech firm downtown. She's in a support role, entry-level stuff, not the best pay. But you'd never guess that the way she talked about her job. She acted like she was running the whole show. Me? I'm a general contractor. I've got my own small business. It's not flashy, but I built it from the ground up, and I take pride in that. It more than covers the bills, and then some. Before I continue, do not forget to subscribe to the channel. Put likes, so let's continue. Back when we first started dating, it felt perfect. Weekends were spent wandering around the city, trying out hole-in-the-wall restaurants, catching those quirky indie films at that little theater she adored. But looking back now, I realized there were always small things that felt off. Little digs about what I wore, quiet jokes about my old truck, and the fact that in 2 whole years, she never introduced me to anyone from her job. Not once. I brushed it all off. Because, well, I was in love. Then about a month ago, Rachel mentioned her company was throwing this big client appreciation party. Real fancy deal at a swanky hotel downtown. She was one of the people helping organize it, and I could tell she was wound-tight trying to make everything perfect. Tina from IT is bringing her boyfriend, she said one night while scrolling through her phone. He's a lawyer or something. Can you bring someone too? I asked, just kind of tossing it out there. I mean, I could tag along if you want some backup. She hesitated, just for a second, but I caught it. I mean, I guess you could come, she finally said. It's just a bunch of corporate types talking about boring work stuff. I knew money had been tight for her lately. Her rent went up, and she'd been hinting about maybe needing to move. So I offered to help out a bit. I ended up covering the cost of her new dress, $450. Bought a gift basket for her boss, $200. Threw in for other random party stuff too. Not exactly a fortune, but definitely not pocket change either. When the night of the party rolled around, I made sure to look sharp. Put on my best suit, the one I usually save for important client meetings. Got a fresh haircut, polished up my shoes, the whole 9 yards. But when I picked her up in my truck, she barely seemed to notice. Didn't even comment on how I looked. Just asked if I remembered to bring the gift basket. As we walked into the hotel, I could feel her tense up beside me, like she was already bracing for something. Once we got near the ballroom, she started walking ahead, creating this weird distance between us. Maybe you should hang out in the bar for a bit, she said out of nowhere. I need to go check on a few things. I'll come with you, I said. Maybe I can help carry something? She didn't argue, but I could tell she wasn't thrilled. The ballroom was impressive, open bar, classy hors d'oeuvres, some kind of mood lighting bouncing off the walls. Rachel spotted a group of coworkers and made a beeline for them. I followed behind, not wanting to hover, but not about to disappear either. A woman in a sleek black dress glanced over. Everything looks amazing. Who's this? She asked, giving me a friendly smile. There was this awkward pause, just a beat too long. I stepped forward, hand outstretched to introduce myself. But before I could say anything, Rachel jumped in. This is Ethan. He's my driver for the night. The words just hung there, thick and heavy. Her coworker looked thrown off, eyes flicking to my suit like something didn't add up. Your driver? She asked, one brow raised. Rachel let out this forced little laugh. Yeah, he was nice enough to drop me off. But he's heading out now. Then she turned to me. Right, Ethan? It felt like someone had socked me in the stomach. 2 years together, and I was her driver. I gently took her arm and pulled her a few steps away from the group. What the hell was that? I asked, keeping my voice low. She rolled her eyes and glanced around to make sure no one was paying attention. Look, these people are important, she said. My career's on the line here. You should probably just wait in the car or something. I helped pay for this party, I reminded her. I bought your dress. That's when she said it, looked me dead in the eye with this cold, disgusted expression. You should be grateful I even let you in. And just like that, it all clicked. Every snide comment, every eye roll, every time she downplayed me, it wasn't mood swings or stress. That was just her. That was who she really was. I didn't fight, didn't raise my voice or try to argue. I just gave a small nod and said, you're right. Then I turned around and walked away. picked up my jacket from coat check and drove home in complete silence. By the time I pulled into my driveway, my phone was blowing up, missed calls, texts, all from Rachel. Where are you? Seriously? You're just gonna leave me stranded? Stop being dramatic. You're embarrassing me. I didn't answer any of them. Just powered off my phone and cracked open a cold beer. Strangely enough, I felt calm. Like I'd finally woken up from a long nap I didn't know I was taking. The next morning, she showed up at my place. Her eyes were red and puffy like she'd been crying all night. But her makeup? Not a smudge out of place. She was always like that, picture perfect. Can we talk about last night? She snapped, skipping the small talk. You just left me there. I had to Uber home. I leaned on the doorframe, keeping the door halfway open. I didn't ask her in. You called me your driver. It was a joke, she said, rolling her eyes. God, you're being so sensitive. Those people matter to my career. I didn't want them thinking I was, dating a contractor. I finished the sentence for her. She actually looked a little ashamed. That's not what I meant. It's just complicated. Office politics and all that. Then came the tears. Like clockwork. She was a pro at that. She apologized over and over, said she was stressed, said she was trying to impress her boss. Promised she'd make it up to me. Even threw out the idea of a romantic weekend getaway, just the two of us. I love you, she whispered, putting her hand on my cheek. You know that, right? Last night was just a mistake. I was being stupid. I played along. Let her believe I bought it. I told her to come inside, made her coffee, listened to every excuse she had lined up. She left not long after, looking satisfied, like she'd smoothed everything over. For the next few days, everything looked normal. On the surface, anyway. Rachel was acting extra sweet, blowing up my phone with heart emojis and little comments about our future. Then, about a week after the whole party mess, she called me up, sounding all bubbly. Babe, guess what? She said. My birthday's coming up in a couple weeks, and I was thinking of hosting a dinner for some work friends at that new fancy spot, Antonelli's. Marcus, Kara, a few others. That sounds nice, I said, keeping my tone flat. Yeah, but here's the thing. I'm a little tight on cash right now, what with the party and all. You want me to help pay for it? I asked, already knowing where this was headed. Would you? She said, voice all sweet. It'd mean the world. Just a few colleagues. Kind of a networking thing. Funny how she never mentioned me coming along. How much we talking? I asked. About $1,200, she said. For the private dining room. They need a card on file to reserve it. I can put my card down, I told her. Just let me know when. You're the best, she squealed. I'll swing by tomorrow to grab it. She showed up the next day, and I handed her a credit card, not my regular one, but she didn't even notice. Just smiled, said thanks, and gave me a peck before heading out. So, what time should I be there? I asked casually. Her smile twitched. Oh, actually, it's just gonna be work people. Boring office talk and all that. You'd hate it. Got it, I said, giving a little nod. No problem. Thanks for understanding, she said, kissing my cheek again. You really are the best. On the night of her birthday dinner, I made a call to my credit card company. Told them the card I'd given Rachel was lost. They canceled it immediately and sent me a new one. Then I got dressed, nicer than I did for her company party. Sharp suit, polished shoes, the whole deal. I headed to Antonelli's and skipped the main dining room. Instead, I found a spot at the bar with a clear line of sight into the private room, but just hidden enough thanks to a fancy wood divider. Around 7:30, they started showing up. Rachel looked stunning, new dress, fresh hair, laughing as she walked in with her coworkers. I recognized the woman from the party, the one who heard Rachel call me her driver. There was a guy with them too, someone I hadn't seen before. He kept resting his hand on Rachel's lower back. She didn't move away. If anything, she leaned into it. I ordered a scotch and watched it all play out. They were laughing, taking selfies, clinking glasses. Rachel was glowing. The life of the party, totally in her element. She looked different in there. So self-assured, lively, not like the version of her who used to complain about her job and bills. Right at 9:45, right on cue, the waiter dropped the check at their table. I watched as Rachel reached into her purse, all confident, and pulled out my card. She looked smug as she handed it over, brushing off coworkers who tried to pitch in. It's my birthday, please. This one's on me. I could practically hear her say it. The server walked off with the card. A few quiet minutes passed. Then he came back and leaned down to talk to her privately. Rachel's expression shifted. First confused, then a flicker of panic. She pulled out her phone, probably checking her bank app. Then she started typing, fast. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Ethan, something's wrong with your card. It's declining. Call me now. I didn't respond. Another message came through. This is serious. I look like an idiot in front of everyone. The bill's over $1,200. Still, I said nothing. Just took another sip of scotch and watched her squirm. Now she was full-on flustered. Her face red, trying to laugh it off with her friends while fumbling through her wallet. She tried a few other cards. I knew they'd be maxed out. She'd been venting about her credit card debt just the week before. After 5 increasingly frantic messages, I finally sent one back. Look behind you. I watched her read it, eyes scanning her phone. Then her head shot up, whipping around the room until she spotted me sitting at the bar. The second she saw me, all the color drained from her face. I stood up, settled my tab, and walked calmly toward the private dining room, pulling an envelope from inside my jacket as I approached. The room fell into a hush so sudden it was almost laughable. Rachel's eyes went wide with horror, and a few folks at the table gave me that look of vague recognition, especially the woman who'd seen her call me her driver at the party. "Isn't that your driver?" one of them asked, looking at Rachel. I gave them a polite smile. Actually, I was her boyfriend. For 2 years. Then I laid out the photos, snapshots of holidays, vacations, dinners, right there on the table like receipts. I also happened to be the guy who paid for her dress at your client event, the fancy gift basket for her boss, and just recently, the guy she called her driver after I gave her a ride. Silence. Thick and awkward. The guy who'd been cozy with her earlier shifted in his seat, putting some distance between them. Her boss, seated at the head of the table, stared down at the photos with a look that could slice steel. Rachel hissed, "Ethan, can we please talk about this outside?" I kept my voice light. "No need. I just stopped by to say happy birthday. And to let you know that card you used? It was canceled yesterday. Reported lost." "You did what?" she shrieked, any pretense of dignity gone in an instant. I adjusted my jacket, standing tall. "And to answer your question from 2 weeks ago, no, I'm not grateful you let me in. But I am grateful for the clarity." I turned toward the group. "Y'all enjoy the rest of your evening. The check? That's all yours now, Rachel." She lunged up, grabbing my arm. "You can't just leave. At least pay the bill." I looked down at her hand, then up at her. "Fuck off," I said quietly, then walked out without another word. Behind me, I could hear her shouting my name. The murmur of confusion, someone awkwardly suggesting they all split the tab. I never looked back. The next day, she blew up my phone. Texts, calls, voicemails. It was a cycle of begging, blaming, and threatening to ruin my reputation. I blocked her. She showed up at my door twice. I didn't answer. Left voicemails from her friends' phones, crying, pleading. I deleted every one without hitting play. A week went by. Then I got a message on LinkedIn, one of her coworkers. Apparently, after the dinner disaster, there'd been an HR investigation at her job. Her boss found out she'd been lying about her role, taking credit for work that wasn't hers. That guy she was cozy with, a senior developer she'd been seeing on the side. He bailed on her fast once everything came out. 2 weeks after that whole mess, I got a knock at my door. I opened it to find an older couple looking sheepish. The resemblance was obvious. "Mr. and Mrs. Morgan," I said, genuinely surprised. I'd only met them once, in passing. "May we come in?" her father asked, his voice stiff with discomfort. I let them in, more curious than anything. We sat in the living room, the kind of silence that wraps around people when something big's about to be said. "We came to apologize," her mother finally said. "For Rachel. For everything." Her dad nodded. "She's been in a bad place since that night. Lost her job. Had to move back home." "I'm sorry to hear that," I said. And oddly, I meant it, at least a little. I never wanted her to fall apart. I just wanted peace. "No, don't be," her mother said. "She did this to herself. We always knew Rachel had a materialistic streak. Maybe we fueled it more than we should have." Her dad looked down, ashamed. "We told her to find someone financially stable. Even told her to use her looks while she had them. Never imagined she'd take it so far." That explained a lot. I remembered him joking once about me being a big catch when he heard I owned my own business. "She told us what happened," he continued. "Not right away. First, it was some story about you humiliating her. But eventually, the truth came out. Her mom reached into her purse and pulled out an envelope. She's too ashamed to come herself, but we wanted you to have this." Inside was a handwritten note and a check for $925. The note simply said, "For the dress, the gift basket, and everything else." "I'm sorry." I stared at the check. It was never about the money. Not really. "We made her take responsibility," her dad said. "Had her sell some of her designer stuff to pay you back. Small step, but it's something." "Thank you," I said, sliding the check back into the envelope. "I appreciate you coming." They told me Rachel had deleted all her social media, said she was going offline to focus on herself. As for me, business is good. I started dating again, but slowly this time. Just last week, I had coffee with a woman who teaches kindergarten. When I told her I was a contractor, she didn't flinch or look disappointed. She asked thoughtful questions. She seemed to actually care about the answers. Sometimes, I still think back to that moment in the hotel ballroom, When Rachel called me her driver like I was an accessory, not a person, it stung at the time, deeply. But now, I'm thankful. Because that was the moment the blinders finally came off. Some people show you who they are in loud, dramatic ways. Others reveal themselves through those quiet, cutting little jabs. Either way, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. I just wish I believed it sooner. Update for anyone wondering about the card situation. No, she didn't commit fraud. I gave her the card willingly, and I reported it as lost, not stolen. The bank just canceled it and sent me a new one. And yeah, leaving her with the bill might have been petty. But after being treated like an ATM with a pickup truck for 2 years, I figured I'd earned that one.